Hi viewers, it's the time for tagging you another episode of Tag Time. Today with me, the guest I have is a very dynamically beautiful person. She's Executive Director of Canadian Race Relation Foundation and a human rights advocate. Yes, it's Anita Bromberg. Welcome to my show, Anita.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Anita, as you work as the director of Race Relation Foundation, I would like to know that how you ended up here and what is all about.
Well, big question. I'll try to give a short answer. I grew up in the cold city of Winnipeg with a warm heart in the middle of the country. I grew up being aware that there's racism around me. I spent a lot of time in my young days with immigrant grandparents and within a religious community, and I saw the struggles to be part of Canadian society, but I also saw from them the beauty of what Canada was offering them, the peace, the security, the freedoms, the opportunities, and so that gave me both sides of a coin that I knew as I went on in my education, got a law degree, eventually found myself in Toronto, that's what I had to do, that I had to make a difference, that at the end of my days, if I could look back and say that I was able to make a space for everyone within a context of Canadian values, where racial harmony and equity were the order of the day, then I would have made the difference. And so eventually I found myself having the honor of being appointed as the executive director of the Canadian Race Relations Foundation, and seeing that my personal goals very much meshed with the vision of the organization, which in a very simplified way is geared to bringing together communities across Canada on a mission of social cohesion and harmony.
It's a beautiful thing you have expressed. I hope a lot of viewers agree with me that we all struggle while we are having little different diverse background, and then it's very positive that what you learn you give back to the society. So now, since you have had a goal and a mission, and you chose a very difficult, very complicated area to work towards. So far, how many things you think you're satisfied with what you picked and choose to work towards, and what are the difficulties?
Well, smarter philosophers than I could even pretend to be tell us that the curse is that we may live in interesting times, right? And we do. I like to talk about promises and challenges. We've got a lot of promises here in Canada. We've got great foundation through our Charter of Rights and our respect for freedom of religion and freedom of speech and equality and equity. We've got the foundations, but as this country knows, from our founding nations to the immigrant communities that are coming in greater and greater numbers to this shore, that diversity offers both promises and challenges, and we need to recognize both. We need to recognize that being a citizen or a resident even of this country on the road to citizenship brings rights and responsibilities. And how are we going to recognize all that? It's through bringing communities together, bringing people of different backgrounds, different religions, different areas that they're living in, from the north to the south, from being Aboriginal in our founding nations to being newcomers to this country, to find a way to have that dialogue. At the Race Relations Foundation, we believe that the way forward is to have these dialogues, to have the difficult conversations within a setting of mutual respect, and explore these issues of how we're going to seek out the promises and challenges that confront us today.
Anita, as you have been the advocate for human rights, being a woman, I feel that the most vulnerable community is women. So, how would you describe your work towards that?
It reminds me of the time that I was in law school and remembering reading a report that says the person least likely to succeed in law is a woman with a religious background, studying at the university I was studying at. But, you know, as I say, adversity brings out the best in me, because you got to look forward to the opportunities. Call me a realist optimist, and that maybe sums me up. Yes, I think, you know, we look now when we're doing human rights advocacy to intersections of forms of identity, and women who are often the poorest of our communities because of the barriers to breaking that glass ceiling, to often being women. The women are the ones that perhaps are the protectors of the faith and of the family. They're facing women are facing all kinds of challenges that I think it's incumbent on everyone to recognize that intersectionality and find opportunities to meet those challenges.
So, in future, as we see, the more and more women are needed to come forward because of the economic challenges and
Right.
social system and the change in the family structure. How do you vision, what do you see, and how should we proceed towards that?
Well, we have to really go back to our roots. What, you know, the women of this country have been in the forefront of promoting women's rights, not only in Canada but around the world. We've, you know, from the days of the women fighting for the votes and moving forward. I think we have to again remember what we've built here in Canada. Be determined that we're going to grow on it and not backslide, and make sure that women have the opportunity. Now, so when we're fighting, you know, racism, when we're fighting anti-religious discrimination, and the intersection of how that affects women, we have to make sure that the barriers that there's tools to fight the barriers. So if women need to be part of the economic reality today of sustaining a family, then we need to look at all aspects of society, from childcare to healthcare, to education. These are all important elements, and that's the way you build the social cohesion. We can deal with the individual barriers, but I think you need to look at the big picture and make sure that when we talk about equality and equity, that we're committed to it with giving the women the tools they need to move forward.
It is always considered that women should come forward, women should be working towards the women right. But correct me here, or give me some fruitful thought towards it, because I feel like men are needed to be standing for women right also. It's the time when they have to change their thoughts towards the orthodox system and not push back the old ways, but to come into 21st century to acknowledge individuals as individuals first, then men and women. How would you comment on that?
And I think people tend to be protective of where ways in which they had the power and don't want to see that lost. So of course men who have traditionally being the people with the power, are going to be reluctant to move back and make room. And so you see initiatives now in the workplace, that the word diversity means that women are going to be on the boards, that women are going to have equity in pay. We've heard a lot of that in the news recently. We're going to make sure that women have a voice in Parliament. We're going to make sure that women have every opportunity in education and science and computers as much as homemaking, right? I believe men, I think Canada has been exemplary in many ways, but we've got a lot of ways to go. I think one of the grounds where we need to explore is come together as women with different religious backgrounds, and come and understand each other in dialogue and be there to support each other as we move forward on all kinds of issues. I agree that men need to make room and be supportive of it. And I think that's ever as important as it was. But I also believe in the power of the woman's voice. I think women coming together can make themselves heard and make changes as well.
Don't you think that because of the individual rights and women are becoming more powerfully involved into social circles, the weight of responsibilities is increasing more on their shoulder than their other partner? What is your comment?
I think, if you want to speak personally, I've got a very supportive husband, in case he's listening. He's always been, proud of what I've done and made room, allowed me to have room to do what I need to do. That being said, our lives too are very traditional in many ways. But I think that's where it starts, right? It starts with a husband and a wife, a mother and father, a father and a daughter, having these conversations of what it means to respect everybody for who they are and for their abilities. Being a bit blind about whether they're a man or a woman that's moving forward. A father can have an important voice in empowering his daughter to seek a full education, not to be limited, to see herself limited in her choices. The father, the brother in the family, the oldest brother often has an important voice, is saying that he'll be supportive of the women in his family. I think, it should start in a way at home. It's also going to start from our religious leaders. They have a very important role. Often the traditions are set in a religion. And I think our religious leaders have a very important voice to making sure that while I understand there are differences, equality and equity don't necessarily mean that everybody has to be the same. I believe that there are differences between men and women, but that doesn't mean that we can't have equality in opportunities and equity in treatment.
Thank you very much, Anita, for sharing your views today with us. I really enjoyed talking to you. It's been a pleasure.
I'm looking forward to many more dialogues.
Thank you. Viewers, now you have understood that there are a lot of works which are being done, and as an immigrant, it's not that you or me feel that way. A lot of people are into the boat, same boat, struggling towards the society and trying to understand it. Dialogue and interaction towards each other make us compassionate of thinking that how other feels about if we are in their position, or how we should feel if we are in their position. Men and women are different, but they complement each other if they know that the strengths are different with different individuals regardless. We need to make a very harmonious social system. For that matter, we have to create harmony among us first. With these words, thank you for watching my show. Take care.